Alright, my guys, we're gonna do something quick, simple, and easy for dinner tonight. So in the office, we are doing fried pork chops, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, and sweet peas. Let's go. Hey, my loves, come with me while I get this beautiful meal prepared for my family. Tonight, we're having fried pork chops, macaroni and cheese, and sweet peas and cornbread. So I'm gonna get these pork chops cleaned up and ready to fry. Um, I wanted to bake them, but we just had baked pork chops, and it was like, let's do some fried pork chops, Mom. So I was like, okay, I'll fry them for you guys, no problem. I was just trying to get some of the excess stuff that be on them off. It's nothing major here. This one was a little thick, so I decided to cut it because it was super thick, actually. But yeah, it was some decent sized pork chops. They were good. So I'm just giving them a final rinse off here, and then we're gonna make our way over to the stove. I did turn my iron on the stove to get that grease nice and hot and ready for these chops. And of course, I'm washing my hands. And just in case you all was like, does she wash her hands when she gets through touching meat? Yes, I do. I just don't do that on camera all the time, but I decided to do that just so you guys can see. But we're going to get this oven preheated for the cornbread. And while we're waiting on that oil to heat up, I'm going to go ahead and get my cornbread started. So I'm going to put my pan in the oven and let the oil heat up. And we're going to go with Old Faithful tonight. And that's with the box of Jiffy and a pack of the yellow cornbread mix that I use. Of course, the Jiffy I'm using the honey flavored Jiffy tonight. And I'm going to use a little bit of my Splenda sugar to sweeten it a little bit because we're eating sweet peas. And that's how I like to eat my sweet peas. And I did add a little cornmeal, a little more cornmeal, and a little flour added to that just to stretch it, because I wasn't going to cook a big pan of cornbread. So I'm adding my eggs to the ingredients here, and I'm using powdered milk. It's good you could just use it just like regular milk, you guys. It works wonderfully. But I'm adding all my dry ingredients here, a little bit of the Splenda to give it a little sweet taste, and I'm gonna add my water, and we're gonna mix it up. Like I said, I will do a video of, and I think I've made a video before me making homemade cornbread, but I'll be doing that soon too, so you guys can see how I make my homemade cornbread. I don't just use Jiffy and my packet of yellow cornbread mixing, because I do make homemade as well. I can do that too. It's just a little easier. Okay, so I'm taking my pan out and pouring a little oil into my cornbread mixture and mixing it in. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I put the oil in before I put it in the oven, but you know. So it's already cooking in the pan, but we're going to go ahead and stick that back in the oven. And while the cornbread is baking, we're going to go ahead and do our pork chops. So I'm adding just a little bit more seasoning to my pork chops. These tongs, you guys, I haven't had these tongs for years, and I keep rigging them. I ain't gonna say the other word, but I keep rigging them to work, and they just not doing the job. So I'm gonna have to go in with my hands and mix the seasoning on the pork chops because the tongs were not working. So I had to do this. to go ahead and incorporate that. And I just add a little seasoning because my flour is already seasoned. And I'm washing my hands again. As you can see, I wash my hands constantly, you guys, when I cook, especially when I'm dealing with raw meat. So if there's a question there, yes, I wash my hands. So we are now going to go ahead and put our first batch of pork chops in the cooking oil. If you hear any noise in the background, I'm doing laundry. But yeah. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get these pork chops fried up. And right now I have my burner set on a medium high for this for my pork chops. And then as time goes, I turn it down to like under a medium low, just right up underneath, so it won't burn my grease, and my pork chops won't burn or stick. So yeah. Now while that's going, I'm going to put my water on for my macaroni. And I'm going to put salt in the water. I normally do that. Now it's close to time for my first batch of pork chops to come out. I don't understand why one side cooks faster than the other one, but you know, I figure it out. Of course, that's why you have to stay in the kitchen when you're cooking, because you just don't know. So I always stay in the kitchen while you're cooking your food, because you walk off, it won't be edible. So yeah, you have to pay attention. So yeah. So I put in my second batch of pork chops and getting those going. But yeah, I'm going to now get started on my sweet peas, and I'm doing 2 cans of sweet peas, and I'm going to drain the contents of the can off the sweet peas. I'm draining both cans, and I'm going to do season it myself. So I'm just gonna run some water in there, and then I'm going to season my own stuff. So I'm going to put a little salt. Chicken bouillon powder, black pepper, and butter. And I think that's about it that I put in there. And that's just me seasoning it myself, because yeah, I know what's going in it, and it tastes really good actually. Oh, and garlic powder. I did put some garlic powder in there. But you guys, you have to try that out. Now I'm using the powdered macaroni. This is all we had in the house, y'all. And I despise that macaroni, I tell you what, but I do keep a few boxes in the house for nights like this, where I don't want to do homemade, or this is all we have, but I make it work. So this is what we have, and I made it work. So you will see how when I do my macaroni in the box like that, that comes with the powder and not the cheese pouch, the cream cheese pouch. You'll see how I do that. So here I'm checking my cornbread, still a little soft in the middle. I'm gonna put it up top so it can go and finish cooking and browning. And it's done. Cornbread is ready. And I'm checking on my peas. They're looking delicious. And those thick pieces of pork chop, I had to let them cook a little longer because they were super thick. But they did not burn. They were good. Music break, you guys. Yep. I was listening to my music. But I can't be alone. I need you to come on home. I know you're messing around, but who the hell else is gonna hold me down? So now we are going to drain our macaroni noodles. And we're gonna put it back on the stove on a low heat. I turned the heat back on low because I'm going to add butter and milk to this mixture. And then I'm gonna stir it up, get it nice and incorporated. I had my last piece of pork chop on the other side on the stove. I had that one little piece left. I don't like cooking one piece of meat by itself because sometimes it sets the grease. The grease gets a little burnt, but you have to know what you're doing. You know, lesson learned, years of cooking. That's what got me to that point. But you have to know what you're doing. So anywho, I done added the powdered cheese into the macaroni and I'm incorporating it in there. But what I also like to do, I make sure I put enough milk to make sure it's creamy. But I also like to add shredded cheese in mine to give it that extra creaminess, and black pepper. And you will see how my boxed macaroni, that type of boxed macaroni, turns out when I cook it. It's delicious too, y'all. I swear it is. But the only thing about this is, with this macaroni, I like to eat it while it's hot because once it gets cold, it's not worth it to me. To me personally. So yeah. I have turned the skillet off on that pork chop, so it's fine. I'm just letting it get a little brown on the other side. But yeah, you see how creamy my macaroni is? So if you want your macaroni like this, if you buy that box with the powder in it, it's fine. You can make it work. So I'm gonna plate up my husband's plate. Everything turned out great. Everything was delicious. And I'm not saying that this macaroni isn't good. It's just that I'm not a fan of it, but I make it work. So, yeah. Sweet peas turned out delicious. The meat was good. The cornbread was good. Everything was great, you guys. And I got rave reviews as always. So, it was a nice quick meal. I enjoyed cooking it. I felt good being back in the office. It was great. So stay tuned for the next meal. And I greatly appreciate you guys for watching. And I will see you soon. Love you and take care.